Small Fantasia on the Molto Allegro of the 40th Symphony by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Why on earth was I whistling, you wonder? Well, I was whistling Mozart because today in the Inkcyclopedia we have a truly unique ink. And it is truly unique. This was sent to me by Peter, and Peter sent me a Montblanc ink called Salzburger Festspiele. Salzburger Festspiele are a sort of musical festival, music and drama in Salzburg, Austria. And Salzburg, as you of course know, is the birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And although he's a composer who, generally speaking, does not really do a whole lot for me, you cannot deny the brilliance of Mozart, who I think when he was a child he could just listen to a symphony, go home and just record every note. At least that's one of the stories I read at some point. Now, the ink I have for you, and that Peter has sent me, very kindly, a sample of, is Montblanc Salzburger Festspiele. This ink is not for sale. You could only get this if you were at the Festspiele, went to the Montblanc stand, and bought something. So this is unique. I had some trouble with putting it in Inkcyclopedia because you cannot purchase it, but I want this to be commemorated in the Inkcyclopedia forever because it is a stunning ink. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And Montblanc, if you see this, make it commercially available because this is going to be a killer. Forget all the other blues you've ever used. This is the one. Big words. Well, I'm a big man, so I can say that. Ha! Anyway, I think it's time to do a writing sample. That's what we're going to do next. I hope that's going to be useful, even if you can't get that ink in a store. I hope you'll still enjoy looking at a beautiful ink, and that's it. I hope that's going to be useful, and I will see you later. Alright, boys and girls, here we go with a very fascinating ink, and that ink is Railroad. That ink is Montblanc. Salzburger Railroading. Festspiele. Let me just to be sure, resaturate the feed of this pen there because it's acting a bit oddly. Sorry about that. That was just me entertaining you with a bit of music. There we go. Nib. That's the nib song. The Salzburger what was the dish again? Salzburger Nocco? Nocco? Hard to pronounce. The Salzburger Fox jumps over the Festspiele. It's a really agile fox. Okay, medium nibbage. Nib. It's the nib song. Then broad. Oops. The Salzburger fox jumps over the Festspiele. Hello, Mr. Connery. What can I do for you? Just right, boy. Right. Okay. Everybody always orders me around. The Salzburger. This is not skipping. The paper is was curled up a bit, and I'm strangely angled around a tripod leg, so some of the writing in that bit will look a bit strange. And then some flex. Now we have already seen that this nib does not, or this ink does not really seem to be a fan of flex, so I'm just going to write one word not to prolong the suffering of this railroading. And of course, once you say that, everything runs as smoothly as a baby rubbed in oil and then slid across a slippery surface. Sorry, that makes no sense. Salzburger. Oh, I'm nuts. Sometimes I think at some point I really have to sit down with someone and discuss my mind. Now, there we go. Festspiele. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da, nib. There we go. Okay, now I have to say I am seriously impressed by this ink. Why, Montblanc, don't you sell this? Because this is a fantastic shade of blue. Maybe it's me. I don't know about you guys, but I am seriously impressed. Look at this blue. Look at the shading. Look at everything you get. It's fantastic. So they really did something right here. I really hope that they will see this and will consider making it commercially available. Now, while we're here, let's do a couple of passes. 1, 2, 3. I have learned to count. It only took me a couple of years. 3. There we go. Then we may as well do a bit of fancy writing with a fat nib, so that we can later use the Eyedropper of Death. Have to distract you while I'm doing all of this. S for Salzburg. Then we have that moment you've all been waiting for, the Tardif Test. Now, because of the exclusivity of the ink, I'm not going to do a brown benchmark here, if you don't mind. I mean, it's... Oh, you know what? I already see the point. I already know how I'm going to solve that. I can hardly get some ink on there, so the Tardif Test is going to be pretty small too. Fast forward. Miniature brown benchmark. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. So we got this, we got that. We need some medium writing, so that we can use the bastard brush. Is it just me, or is every pen skipping more than usual? every pen has to have some weak spot. And I think flow might be the one in this pen. So what are we seeing there? Night. Look at the shading. Look at the shading. It's beautiful. I'm going to do a second pass there. Yep, that's dry. There we go. And I think that while all of this is drying, we can start to work a bit in the score. Oh no, wait, you know what? That's drying. Let's just go for the bastard brush stir straight away. Ain't it pretty? Look at that. It's beautiful. Well, this is still wet. I am seriously impressed by the shading here. Look at that, beautiful. Going from a... Oops, I'm just wiping out that. That's alright, that's alright. Everything's under control. Everything's under control, don't worry. The shading is just gorgeous. From this, which is... I don't even know what color is this. It's a type of blue that I haven't really seen a whole lot. It's not really blue-black. It may look like that in the flex writing, but I would not call this a blue-black. It's not black enough for that. It's a more marine color. Very fascinating. I find that very, very fascinating. Now, I'm going to just speed up the process here a bit. Dry that. Do a third pass. And take out what is affectionately known as the eyedropper of death. Okay. So, this writing sort of survived the water. It's not extremely waterproof. You see it's running. Bits of it are still legible. But this is dry. As I said, not the most waterproof of inks, although I do really like the artistic effect, but maybe that's just me. Let's get rid of the excess water there. Yeah, again, that idea is confirmed. You still see a bit of the writing, but parts of it are just annihilated. Exterminated. Bifurcated, just completely gone. I think we can work on the scorecard. How about that? Sorry, just move some stuff out of the way. So what we have is again a bit of a skip. Cleaning. Well, cleaning is easy. Now look here. You will write when I tell you to write. Cleaning was fairly easy. I've tried it in one pen. Bleed through. Have to assess later. Then we have color. I'm going to write down awesome blue because I'm not really sure how to classify this. Some of you artists out there may have an idea on that. I'd love to know what you call this blue because I really don't know. Shading. Well, I think shading is pretty good, and cleaning. What the hell? We gave that numbers. Shading I would say is good. I wouldn't call this up to par with Apache Sunset, but that's pretty much a class of its own. I think the shading is very pronounced, very clear, so I will give it full marks on that. Even though it is not Apache Sunset, it's more than I've seen in a while. Now we have flow. Flow, I'm not going to give it full marks, because you saw this pen usually flows no problems, but it had a few skips and stuff. So, as I said, every ink has its chink, and this is the chink in its armor. Feathering we have to assess later. We have drying time. Well, that seems to be okay, not spectacularly short, neither spectacularly long. And then we have waterproofness, a tough one to assess here. Because the writing is not entirely annihilated, but it's not entirely there either, although you do see the tracings. But still, for a full waterproof ink, I would say it's not an iron gall ink or anything, so I'm going to give it a 2. Okay, then we're going to switch papers. And we're going to go through the motions again. That's what she said. We have fine. Flow actually, I think, seems to be a bit better on this paper. Maybe this is the type of ink that doesn't really like smoother papers. Flex. Well, 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 if it isn't going to be flex. Flex. I'm going to push this to the max here, see? Yeah, I really have to go slow, which is not very uncommon. The feet just can't keep up. That is actually quite impressive. You can write quite a bit before it really starts to railroad, and that was very fast. And then it's really dry. You have to prime the feed again, but that's okay. I like that. I got the feeling this is not the ink you would like to use on very smooth paper, but maybe it's just, I don't know, whatever, humidity here today or something like that. This is a very good portrait of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It is expressionistic, so it is neither impressionistic nor expressionistic, but a little bit of both. And as you can see, there is a little bit of feathering going on there. But in all, I don't think it's particularly bad. And actually, the same thing goes for the writing. I don't see a whole lot of feathering. In the broad, maybe just a bit. Let me zoom in there. No, it's quite good actually. It's there. It's present in the flex nib, but even there, it's quite controlled. This is just copy of paper. We have seen much more feathering there, so I'm quite impressed. Now I want to have a look at bleed through for the regular writing. A little bit with the fine. But that was applying some pressure, so that was more minor flex. Medium seems pretty good, just a little bit there with the startup. Broad you get some more bleed through. Metallic a little bit, and flex quite a bit. Same goes for the really broad 6mm nib. The Rhodia paper, there's a lot less of that. Maybe a bit there with the flex, but that's actually the brown benchmark. Not even with the 3 passes, there's just a little bit of show through. That borders between shade through, or show through, and bleed through. Okay, here it seems pretty fine, so I would say it's a pretty well behaved ink actually. The only thing, as I said, the only issue I had is on this Rhodia paper that some of the nibs seem a bit skippier than usual. Okay, so bleed through, I would give it a 2. It's definitely not terrible, it's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. And feathering, I'll give that a 2 as well. So what we have here is a pen with an inkage of 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, now the last thing I would like to do is give you a comparison between this Salzburger Festspiele ink and another ink. And you know that usually I try to find an ink that is close to it, but today I thought I would not. Yeah, you know what? We don't really need that. You've already seen the flex. I'm just going to finish this with medium. And then I'll just see if I can get that, just a bit of flex. There we go, that's enough. Now, today I didn't want to go for an ink that is very much like this one, because as I said, I don't really have inks that are like this. So what I did was I just took Montblanc Royal Blue, which as you can see is a completely different ink. But the reason I did this is that I wanted to show you that the Salzburger Festspiele is indeed a completely different ink from the regular Montblanc Blue. So it's not just a rebottled ink or something, it is just this. This is a very different ink. That's all I wanted to say. So, please send your petitions to Montblanc. Let them know that we want this ink, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who wants to buy their nice big bottles of this ink in shops. It could even be one of those limited edition inks with the smaller bottles as far as I'm concerned, because I would purchase this, and I think I'm not the only one. So, exclusive ink. I hope you still enjoyed it. I hope this was useful, and you know what? I'll see you later. Bye bye.